until the age of 47. But he led the San Francisco 49ers to 3 NFL titles in 10 years.
Super Bowl 19 is in the record book. And Bill Walsh, who became a head coach so late in life after many years.
Walsh's innovation was the West Coast offense, built around short, high-percentage passes. Much of the NFL would copy it, and many of his assistants would go on to coach their own teams. Bill Walsh was 75. We also...
This is ABC 7 News at 6.
I came to San Francisco and I found another father, Bill Walsh, because I never wanted to let him down.
That's Jerry Rice today, remembering the visionary who drafted him from a small college in the South and turned him into one of the greatest players of all time.
Condolences for former 49ers coach Bill Walsh are coming in from all corners tonight. He died at 10:45 this morning after fighting leukemia for several years. From the owners of the 49ers, without a doubt, Bill Walsh was one of the greatest coaches in NFL history. His achievements are virtually unparalleled in professional sports. From the Oakland Raiders, he was a giant among giants and an innovator whose commitment to excellence was unparalleled. Governor Schwarzenegger said fans will cherish the success of this legendary coach for decades to come. House Speaker Nancy Pelosi called him the epitome of sportsmanship. ABC 7 Sports Director Larry Beal is live at Stanford tonight with some of the players Walsh molded into NFL superstars. And Larry, for so many of them, he was much more than a coach.
You're absolutely right, Dan. There's no way to encapsulate in words what he meant to so many people, Steve Young and Jerry Rice, just for starters. You mentioned the leukemia that Walsh battled for several years. I talked to a close family friend last week who said the blood transfusions, they just weren't working anymore. Bill would go into the hospital, spend some time there, be reinvigorated, but they knew the time was running out. And that's why friends like Al Davis, John Madden, Ronnie Lott, and Joe Montana visited the coach in recent days. In fact, Steve Young was supposed to visit him again this morning when word came out that Bill had passed away. Bill Walsh was 75 years old, but his impact, his legacy, will last forever.
And I knew we were in trouble with him the last few months because either coming up to say hi to him or to talk to him on the phone, he would always end the conversation by saying, "I love you." And I wanted to ask him, why the hell didn't you say that when I was coaching for you?
Friends, colleagues, and former players shared their love for Bill Walsh this afternoon. A 3-time Super Bowl champion and the architect of the 49ers dynasty, Walsh was arguably the most influential figure in modern football history. As brilliant as Coach Walsh was with X's and O's, the man nicknamed the Genius left an even more lasting impression as a mentor.
I came to San Francisco and I found another father, Bill Walsh, because I never wanted to let him down.
And knew what I could accomplish well before I knew that I could accomplish it. And that's the coach. That's the ultimate talent that anyone can have.
Of the countless Walsh memories, Rice will never forget the 1987 victory over the Bengals on the final play. Not so much because it worked, but because of Walsh's reaction.
It was just something out of a fairy tale. But, you know, to make that catch and just to watch Bill just being a little kid, you know, skipping across the field, it was fantastic.
Walsh had been working in recent years as an administrator here on the Stanford campus and actually helped in the hiring of new head football coach Jim Harbaugh. I can't tell you how many people today stopped by as they saw all of the television trucks and the crews wondering what was going on, and when they heard about it was the passing of Bill Walsh, they were all just so saddened by the news. There will be a public memorial service, details of which have not been worked out, but you'll have coaches and players flying in from all over the country. It'll probably be sometime within the next week, and we'll have details on the air and on our website at abc7news.com. We'll have more in the sportscast, naturally, with Mike Schumann sharing his personal thoughts. For the moment, live at Stanford, Larry Beal, ABC 7 Sports.
All right, Larry, thanks very much. Well, our Mike Schumann, as you mentioned, was a 49er. He played for Bill Walsh back in the late 70s and also on the 1981 Super Bowl team. Mike takes a look back at Bill Walsh's incredible career.
It's rare to use the word genius when you're talking about sports. But in the case of Bill Walsh, the word genius did indeed fit the man. He was an innovator whose mark will forever be left on the game of football.
It means a lot to me. It means your life has been worthwhile. It means you've touched people's lives. and hadn't thought that much about it. But to be honest with you, it's a wonderful feeling to know that you somehow impacted some people's lives in a positive way.
His impact was felt greatest in the Bay Area. Born in Fremont in 1931, Bill attended San Jose State. After graduating, he began coaching at Washington High in Fremont and later served as an assistant coach to both Cal and Stanford. Bill began his professional coaching career in 1966 with the Oakland Raiders. After assistant coaching stints at Cincinnati and San Diego, Bill became the head coach at Stanford in 1977. In 1979, he got his first head coaching job in the pros as head coach of the San Francisco 49ers. It was there that he would turn the franchise around and lead the team to Super Bowl championships in 1981, 1984, and 1988. It was that first Super Bowl team that made him the proudest.
That was the very unique experience all of us had, to take that young team and go all the way through and win a big-time Super Bowl.
Bill had a great sense of humor, and it showed during the first Super Bowl as he donned a Bellman's uniform to greet the team arriving in Detroit.
It was just spontaneous, you know, sort of sophomoric trick. Think if I'd have done that and we'd have lost the game.
That team was led by a third-round pick out of Notre Dame, Joe Montana, as Walsh noticed something special about this young man.
Well, you knew he had great instincts. We knew that. And you knew he was a terrific competitor. He had good touch on the ball. He can get it there, and his passes were easy to catch because a lot of times they didn't have great velocity on them. But how would you ever know he'd become the greatest quarterback of all time?
Bill had an uncanny eye for talent, and it showed up again in 1985, trading up in the draft to take a raw, diamond-in-the-rough receiver out of Mississippi Valley State named Jerry Rice.
It was difficult to maneuver in a position to draft him.
Right.
We had to make trade and these kind of things. But once we drafted him and he took the field for the first time, it was evident this isn't your usual receiver. There is something going on with this guy. And it didn't take long for him to be the best receiver in football.
You know, the guy really gave me a chance by coming into this predominant black school, Mississippi Valley State, and making me their #1 draft choice.
Walsh's legacy went beyond the X's and O's. Besides the great teams he put together, Bill saw the inequities in sports and actively mentored and promoted black coaches. Ray Rhodes, Sherm Lewis, Tony Dungy, and Dennis Green all were greatly helped by Bill Walsh.
And I'm also proud of the assistant coaches we had who became head coaches. Somebody told me they were 14 right now.
Nearly 5 years ago, Bill lost son Steve to leukemia. In November of 2006, Bill revealed that he too had the disease, and he faced the news with dignity and good humor that he demonstrated throughout his life.
One of the battles is if you're in a terminal situation, it sort of preys on you a little bit. You know, you're not fearful of it, but, you know, you don't go down and buy a new car.
Bill Walsh has left a lasting impression, a legacy that forever changed the way the game of football is played.
His legacy is going to live on. It's going to live on with the players that he coached. It's going to live on with the championships that he won and the hearts that he touched over the years. And it'll always be there.
Bill is going to go down as the genius. I mean, one of the best coaches to ever coach the game.
Mike Schumann, ABC 7 Sports.
And Mike will be back more later on with Bill Walsh. And services, as Larry told you, have yet to be scheduled. There is a website, though, where you can post your condolences. Look for a link at abc7news.com.
More on Bill Walsh just a little later, but now some other news today. The people who make the electronic voting machines being used in California.